What's new, Vegas? It's Shawn. Join me today as we check in on the progress of the Las Vegas Raiders Stadium. So today's adventure starts not that far from the world-famous Las Vegas Strip at the corner of Tropicana and Polaris Avenues. Right at the beautiful Wild Wild West Gambling Hall and Hotel, also a Days Inn. If you've ever been there, you know it's probably not really that beautiful. Anyway, but it is really interesting these days because as you drive by on Tropicana, you see what looks like a really giant erector set. All of these steel pieces on top of truck beds sitting there waiting. Whatever could be up with these things? You may have guessed by the title of this video, these are pieces that are waiting to be taken over to the construction site for the brand new Las Vegas Raiders Stadium. It's really cool. They're building it in what looks like sections, like I said, like a huge erector set. If you stick around to the end of the video, you'll be able to actually identify, as we look at the progress of the construction from the construction site itself, some of these pieces that are being used over there. So as I was filming from the outside, I was really hoping I could find a way to get in here, and I did, which I was really happy about, so we can get a closer look at some of these huge pieces of steel. Now, if you look at this one right here, I thought this was really interesting. You have these large vertical, almost look like they could be installed on incline slabs, and then you have all these handrails. These handrails, if you look at the artist rendering of the front of the stadium, almost look identical to the handrails on the steps leading up. I'm thinking those might be the pieces that are going to be used to build those steps. I noticed all this steel comes from a company called Mural Steel, and apparently all they do is manufacture skeletons out of steel for really large construction jobs, like stadiums, electrical, like plants, refineries, things like that, like just huge commercial buildings, big projects. And so this has all come from Mural Steel, and they're based in Wisconsin or Missouri. So I'm guessing most of these have traveled at least that far to get here to Las Vegas. Well, there's a Mural Steel an iron logo on one of the trucks right there, and also an indicator that the steel is for the Raiders Stadium. So right there. All of the pieces have these tags on them with the barcodes and stuff like that, so I'm guessing that tells them where to put them. And these rusty tags too, which I didn't want to touch to read. Funny story, I was taking Uber around town to shoot this stuff, and I accidentally put in the address for the Raiders Welcome Visitor Center instead of the stadium, so we ended up going over there that day. It's pretty cool, actually. When you first enter, you enter this hallway, which is really narrow, so I couldn't get any good shots from the sides, but you are immediately surrounded by these huge multimedia presentations, these huge screens of high energy Raiders footage and fans shouting, and it's a really cool way to walk in. It really sort of sets the mood. The exhibit, by the way, is free. You can go check it out anytime you'd like. They have some really great pieces of history in there. Artifacts, tons of stories about the Raiders, about their entire history, as the Oakland Raiders, the Los Angeles Raiders, soon to be Las Vegas Raiders, all kinds of different highlights of different players and game footage and all kinds of stuff. Lots and lots of memorabilia. We're going to be looking at some of those pieces of memorabilia, kind of like this one right here. This one belonged to Cotton Davidson, who played for the Oakland Raiders in the 60s, was a really good player. And then over here they have Ken Stabler, I apologize, I don't know exactly how to pronounce his last name. His MVP player trophies. They've got a whole bunch of Super Bowl bling, Super Bowl rings from multiple Super Bowls, Super Bowl pendants, Super Bowl cufflinks, just all this really incredible Super Bowl jewelry. Amazing, lots of sparkle, lots of diamonds, some pretty expensive stuff sitting there. It's really cool, actually, to see that stuff in person. Watches, all kinds of Super Bowl jewelry. Here's some close-ups and explanations. They have this whole story about the World's team and how, you know, the Raiders are adored across outside the United States as well. This is actually a helmet that was made outside the United States as a commemorative for the Raiders. It's all beaded and stuff. Here's a little Hall of Fame thing that they've got going on there with all their different coaches and all the different players that have really made a difference for the Raiders throughout the years. It's kind of cool to read all these. And then this one is a really great quote from Al Davis, which of course is a really famed coach. There's his "Just Win, Baby" quote, which he's known for, and his white jacket, which he wore a lot. I actually found this image online of him actually wearing it, which is pretty cool. There's a lot of really interactive exhibits over here too at the Welcome Center, which are pretty cool. I thought this one was pretty awesome. You can break down the different levels of the stadium, and it will give you a kind of a 3D hologram of what it's going to look like and how it's going to be laid out. This is the event level. It's pretty cool. Then they have this big wall, of course, for the construction. These are ceremonial hats and shovels that were used for the groundbreaking ceremony. At least the shovel was. I couldn't find any pictures of anybody wearing the hats for the groundbreaking, but those are definitely the shovels, it looks like. And here's a countdown to the completion of the stadium in June 2020. And some images of the artist renderings and architectural drawings for the stadium. All blown up, really, really big, really cool to look at. Then they had this really cool thing where you could take a picture against a green screen and insert yourself into the stadium before it's built, or in front of the stadium. And of course I couldn't resist doing this. It was a lot of fun. You can see me there mugging for the camera, not very well, honestly. I have to apologize. One of the reasons I didn't shoot any actual footage for this with myself in it is because I was sick when I shot this. And as you can see right there, I'm pretty pale and I don't look so hot, so I thought I'd spare you from doing it. Here's the end result, which is pretty, I don't even know what to say about that. Pretty sad. But, nonetheless, fun. And if you follow me on Facebook or follow the channel on Facebook, you would have seen that as we were doing it, which is pretty cool. I also have a Raiders store there, which we weren't able to go into for some reason, but you can buy all your Raiders gear and Raiders jerseys and all that kind of stuff there. It looks pretty cool. It's also at Towne Square. Really wish we'd been able to get in there. So then we said goodbye to Towne Square, and we said goodbye to that day because, as you can see, it got dark outside. The next day we didn't have any Uber snafus, and we actually got down to the construction site for the stadium, which is pretty cool. And I believe this is the angle where it's going to have the big opening in the side, like you see right there in the rendering. I think that's the big hole right there in the center. And then here's kind of a close-up of the different levels. I think this is going to be one of the main entry points into the stadium right here. You can see there's been a lot of progress since our last update video on the stadium. I mean, it's really gone vertical. Last time we talked, it literally had like one section that had been constructed from the ground. Here's another angle, a little bit closer on the street itself. And you can kind of see that's kind of the welcome area, the store, the steps leading up to the stadium are all going to be there. And then I decided we needed to get much closer, so we ran up there. And we got a little bit closer to the stadium. Again, there's that big hole right there in the side, and the towers and all that kind of stuff. Want to take a look at some of the steel pieces that have been dumped out there that are very similar to the ones in the truck. You can kind of see those laying out on the ground there. See some of the construction equipment they're using. Also, if you look on the sides of the stadium as we pan by, you can see some of those brackets I was talking about earlier. I wanted to try to get the sheer enormity of the size of the cranes that they are using out there, and I kept going up, and I just couldn't get to the top of it. There was no way to actually get my camera to go that far up from any angle I could get it to, but you can just get the picture. They're huge, massive pieces of construction equipment over there. I was struck by how much of a mess the construction area is. If you see those shots that just went by, there's a lot of stuff laying out there. There's a little bit of a closer, different angle of some of the construction. And this kind of gives you an idea of the proximity from Mandalay Bay and how really close it actually is to Mandalay Bay, just across the freeway. Very much walking distance across the bridge there. I think it's like maybe less than a half a mile, maybe quarter of a mile from Mandalay Bay. So I imagine that's what a lot of people will be doing is staying over there and walking over. And then as we're wrapping up the video, actually, I was struck by some of the stuff they had laying out, like these really huge, I'm guessing there's sewer pipes or something like that. And then more huge sewer pipes. If anybody knows, if anybody's familiar with large-scale construction and you know what any of this stuff is, feel free to leave comments down below, because I'm kind of curious on some of this. I'm not a construction expert. But yeah, I definitely want to take a look at and kind of find out what some of that stuff is. But you know, these are the guts that'll be inside the stadium that once it's built, no one will ever get to see. So it's kind of fun to look at them now. I love the color green on those pipes. Just love them. I don't know. I couldn't stop looking at them or recording them because I like the color so much. And there were a lot of them. And there's some more of the black pipes. And then as we kind of went through the pipes, you got different looks at the different sections of the stadium as we went around. There was this ginormous, huge hole they dug, which someone told me later was probably where the sewage connection is going to be for the stadium. I don't know. Also, if you know about construction and you know if maybe that's what that's for, let me know, because that was a really deep hole. I'm glad there was a fence there. It would have been really scary to fall into that. And then here's the tail end of the stadium right here, and this is what it's going to look like, kind of looking in the opposite direction. I finally got the top of the crane there, which is pretty awesome. And you can see how it's kind of like being built all the way around. I mean, they're making a lot of progress in this thing, and that's kind of what it's going to look like from that angle, sort of ish. It's as close as I could get to there. You can't really walk all the way around on that street there. Anyway, that was a look at the current update of the construction for the Raider Stadium. I hope you enjoyed it. There will be another one in a couple of months as they make more progress. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. You don't want to miss that or anything else that we do here on What's New Vegas. We do new videos as often as humanly possible, letting you know what's going on in this wonderful city of ours. Remember, like, share, comment, subscribe. We'll see you around the channel. And until next time, we'll keep answering What's New Vegas?